Millionaire forgot his son at home. But when he arrived, he wasn't alone. Nathan Mitchell was so absorbed in his business that he had completely lost sight of what it meant to be a father. Since he was widowed 2 years ago, he had turned into a work machine, using meetings and contracts as an escape from the pain he still carried in his chest. That Tuesday in March, he woke up before 5 in the morning to his phone ringing insistently. It was Derek, his business partner, warning him about an urgent meeting that could save $1 million contract hanging by a thread. Nathan jumped out of bed, showered quickly, and ran out, not even remembering that Ethan, his 2-year-old son, was sleeping in the next room. The meeting stretched on for endless hours. Documents, spreadsheets, heated discussions. Nathan barely had time for lunch, gulping down a sandwich while reviewing contracts. When he finally looked at the clock, it was past 8 in the evening. His head was throbbing with exhaustion. Arriving home, the first thing he noticed was a soft light coming from his bedroom. He thought it was strange, as he was sure he had turned everything off. He climbed the stairs silently, slowly pushing the half-open door. The scene he found left him completely paralyzed. A young brunette woman wearing a blue maid's uniform was lying on his bed, cradling Ethan in her arms. The boy was fast asleep, with an expression of peace Nathan hadn't seen in a long time. The girl was softly humming a lullaby, her hands gently stroking the child's blonde hair. "What are you doing here?" Nathan's voice came out louder than he intended, filled with surprise and alarm. The young woman was startled, sitting up quickly in bed without letting go of Ethan, who continued sleeping. "Please don't shout. You'll wake the baby," she whispered, her eyes wide with fright. "I can explain everything, sir." Nathan took a deep breath, trying to process the situation. The house was tidy, Ethan seemed well cared for, and the girl didn't look like someone who posed a danger. Still, his heart was racing. "How did you get into my house?" he asked, lowering his voice but keeping it firm. "I work at Mrs. Barbara's house, your neighbor," she explained, carefully getting up and placing Ethan in the crib next to the bed. "I heard the baby crying very loudly this morning. I thought it was something normal, but as the day went on, the crying only got worse." Nathan felt a tightness in his chest. He had indeed completely forgotten about his son. "I kept listening all afternoon. By 5 in the evening he was still crying desperately. I got worried because I couldn't hear any adult trying to calm him down." The young woman paused, nervously running her hand through her hair. "I rang the doorbell several times, but no one answered." "And how did you manage to get in?" Nathan crossed his arms, trying to maintain control of the situation. "The back door was unlocked. I swear I only came in because I was so worried about the baby. When I got to him, he was red from crying so much, hungry and with a dirty diaper for hours." The girl's words hit Nathan like punches to the stomach. He had abandoned his own son for over 12 hours. The boy could have gone hungry, thirsty, or worse. "What's your name?" he asked, feeling his legs go weak. "Emily Parker. Everyone calls me Em. I've worked for Mrs. Barbara for 3 years. I take care of her house and her little granddaughter when she comes to visit." Nathan watched Ethan sleeping peacefully. It had been months since he had seen his son so serene. Normally, the boy cried a lot at bedtime, and only the old nanny could calm him down. But she had quit the previous week, and Nathan had been so busy he hadn't hired a replacement yet. You gave him a bath? Fed him?" he asked, noticing Ethan was in clean clothes. "Yes, sir. I found some baby bottles in the kitchen and baby food in the pantry. He ate with a lot of appetite, poor little guy. Then he had a bath and we played a little before bedtime." Emily spoke with a naturalness that impressed Nathan. It was evident she had experience with children. "Listen, Nathan ran his hand through his hair, embarrassed. "I need to pay you for this. You took care of my son for hours." "You don't need to pay me anything." Emily shook her head. "I didn't do it for money. I did it because a child needed help. But I insist. You went to trouble, spent your time." "Sir, may I ask a question?" Emily interrupted him gently. Nathan nodded. "Does Ethan often stay home alone?" The simple question carried a silent judgment that made Nathan feel even smaller. "No, never. It was an accident. I had a work emergency and left without thinking. Normally he has a nanny, but she left last week and I haven't yet. I understand, Emily said softly. I know you must be very busy, but a small child can't be left alone, especially a baby. The gentleness in her voice, without an accusatory tone, made it all even more painful for Nathan. He knew he had failed as a father, but hearing it from a stranger made the reality inescapable. Do you have children? He asked. No, but I helped raise my younger siblings, and I've worked with children for years. Nathan looked again at Ethan, who was sleeping with an angelic expression. When was the last time he had dedicated quality time to his own son? He couldn't remember. Emily, I need to make you a proposal, he said, making an impulsive decision. Would you like to work for me? As Ethan's nanny. She looked at him surprised. But I already work for Mrs. Barbara. I'll pay double what she pays you. You would only take care of Ethan, have regular days off, and I would provide all the benefits. Emily was silent for a moment, looking at Ethan. Can I think about it? Of course. But please, at least tomorrow, could you come take care of him? I have important meetings and I don't want to leave him alone again. All right. I'll come at 7 in the morning. After Emily left, Nathan stood still beside the crib, watching his son sleep. He tried to remember the last time he had rocked Ethan to sleep, the last time he had played with him, or even talked to him. The guilt weighed on his chest like a stone. That night, he could barely sleep. He kept replaying the day's events, imagining everything that could have happened if Emily hadn't heard Ethan's crying. The irresponsibility haunted him. The next morning, Emily arrived promptly at 7. Nathan greeted her in the kitchen, already dressed for another day of meetings. Good morning, Emily. Ethan is still sleeping. Good morning, Mr. Mitchell. I prepared a list of some things Ethan will need. She handed him a sheet of paper. Diapers, baby food, some educational toys for his age. Nathan examined the list, impressed with the detail. You know these things well. I worked at a daycare before coming to New York. I studied child development too. You studied? I'm taking night classes for a degree in education. It's an old dream of mine to work in early childhood education. Nathan felt a pang of admiration for the young woman. She worked by day and studied at night, fighting for her goals. Well, I'll leave you to it. My phone number is on the fridge if you need anything. All day, Nathan surprised himself by thinking about home more than work. He called twice to check on Ethan, and Emily always answered that everything was fine. When he got home at 7 in the evening, he found a scene completely different from the previous routine. Ethan was awake, playing on the living room rug with colorful blocks, while Emily sat beside him, smiling and encouraging him. Daddy! Ethan stretched out his little arms upon seeing Nathan. Nathan's heart tightened. He couldn't remember the last time his son had shown such joy at seeing him. How was his day? He asked Emily while picking Ethan up. Very good. Ethan is a very smart and affectionate boy. He ate well, played a lot, and took 2 naps. He usually gets fussy in the afternoon, perhaps because he was feeling lonely. Children need constant interaction at this age. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like, and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Nathan observed how Ethan interacted naturally with Emily, as if he had known her for a long time. The previous nanny, though competent, always maintained a professional distance. Emily seemed genuinely interested in the child's well-being. Emily, have you decided about my offer? I spoke with Mrs. Barbara. She was sad, but she understood it's a good opportunity for me. I can start officially tomorrow if you'd like. Perfect. I'll prepare the contract. One thing, Mr. Mitchell, Emily hesitated. I'd like to make a suggestion. Go ahead. Ethan misses spending time with his father. During the day, he kept looking at the door several times as if expecting someone. Children need that connection. Nathan felt another pang of guilt, but he also recognized the wisdom in Emily's words. You're right. It's just that work has been very absorbing. I understand perfectly. But perhaps if it's possible, you could set aside a little time every day just for him, even if it's just 15 minutes. The suggestion was simple, but Nathan realized he didn't even dedicate that much to his own son. His routine was to leave before Ethan woke up and return after he was already asleep. I'll try. In the following weeks, Nathan began to implement small changes. He spent a few minutes with Ethan before leaving for work and always played with him a little before bedtime. They were brief moments, but he noticed how the boy beamed with the attention. Emily proved to be exceptional at her job. The house was always tidy, Ethan was well cared for and happy, and she showed infinite patience with the normal mischief of a 2-year-old. Moreover, she always had useful suggestions about child development and education. One day, Nathan came home to find Ethan saying some new words. "Daddy, look!" Ethan showed a drawing made with crayons. "He drew for the first time today," explained Emily proudly. "He has a lot of artistic talent." Nathan held the paper, moved. It was just colorful scribbles, but it represented a milestone in his son's development that he had almost missed. "Did you teach him how to hold the crayon?" "Yes, we work on fine motor skills every afternoon. Ethan learns very quickly. I didn't even know he was old enough for that." 2-year-old children are in a phase of amazing discoveries. They learn something new every day. Nathan realized how he was missing precious moments of Ethan's childhood because of his obsession with work. The guilt he felt was mixed with gratitude that Emily was there to ensure those experiences weren't lost. "Can I ask you a personal question?" Nathan asked one day after Ethan had fallen asleep. "Of course." "Why do you care about him so much? I mean, it's just a job, isn't it?" Emily was thoughtful for a moment before answering. "My mother worked as a housekeeper when I was little. She took care of other people's children during the day and came home too tired to give attention to her own. I promised myself that if I ever took care of children, I would give them all the love they deserve, regardless of whether they were my own or not." The sincerity in Emily's voice deeply touched Nathan. He began to understand that, for her, caring for Ethan wasn't just a job, but a personal mission. "Is your mother still alive?" "No, she passed away when I was 17, cancer. She worked until her last day to help me finish high school." "I'm so sorry." "Thank you, it was difficult, but she taught me that honest work gives a person dignity, and that we should always do our best, no matter what role we have." Nathan was impressed by Emily's maturity and life philosophy. Despite being young, she possessed a wisdom he himself lacked in many aspects of life. "And your father?" "I never knew him. My mother raised me alone, with my grandparents' help. That was brave of her." "It was. And now I understand better the responsibility of being in charge of a child, even if temporarily." The conversation made Nathan reflect on his own situation. He had lost his wife, but he still had Ethan. Emily had lost both parents, yet she dedicated herself to caring for another's child with genuine love. As the months passed, Nathan noticed positive changes not only in Ethan, but in himself. His son was more communicative, cheerful, and curious, and he himself began to value family moments more, even the brief ones. One afternoon, he arrived home early to find Emily playing pretend with Ethan. She was pretending to be a dinosaur, while Ethan laughed heartily, running around the living room. "Daddy, come play with us!" Ethan ran to him. Nathan looked at Emily, who smiled encouragingly. "Come on, Mr. Mitchell. Ethan wants to show you how brave he is facing dinosaurs." Initially embarrassed, Nathan joined the play. Within minutes, he was genuinely having fun, something he hadn't done in years. Ethan's laughter was contagious, and Emily's naturalness helped break down his emotional barriers. "Daddy is funny," Ethan clapped when Nathan roared like a dinosaur. After Ethan went to sleep, Nathan sat in the living room with Emily to talk, something that had become routine. "Thank you for including me in the play," he said. "Ethan loves it when his father participates. He talks about you all the time." "Really? What does he say?" "That Daddy is very strong and hard-working, and that he wants to be just like you when he grows up." The words touched Nathan deeply. Despite all his mistakes as a father, Ethan still admired him. "Sometimes I think I don't deserve his admiration." "Why?" "Because I'm not the present father he deserves. I work too much, I dedicate little time to him. But you are changing. I see it every day. Ethan notices it too. It's thanks to you. You taught me things about my own son that I didn't know. You just needed someone to show you the way. Every father wants the best for his child. Sometimes he just doesn't know how to show it. Emily's simple wisdom always impressed Nathan. She had an ability to see the good in people and situations that he had lost amid the cynicism of business. One day, Nathan received an unexpected call at the office. It was Emily, and her voice was altered. "Mr. Mitchell, I need to speak with you urgently." "What happened?" "Is Ethan okay?" "Ethan is fine, but I received a job offer, a position at a very good private daycare. It's exactly in the field I'm studying." Nathan's heart raced. The possibility of losing Emily had never crossed his mind. "We can talk about this. I can increase your salary." "It's not about the money, it's an opportunity to grow professionally in the field I've always dreamed of." Nathan fell silent. He knew he couldn't stop Emily from following her dreams, but the idea of losing someone so important to Ethan was devastating. "When would you start there?" "They want an answer by tomorrow." "If I accept, I'd start on Monday." "I understand. Have you decided yet?" "Not yet. That's why I wanted to talk to you first." "Emily, I can't make this decision for you, but I want you to know you've become an essential part of our family. Ethan. And I will miss you very much." There was silence on the other end of the line. "Can I think about it a little more?" "Of course. Take all the time you need." When Nathan got home that night, he found Ethan playing quietly in his room, and Emily organizing toys with a thoughtful expression. "How is he?" asked Nathan. "Okay, but I've noticed he senses when I'm worried." "And you are worried?" "I am. It's a very difficult decision." Nathan sat on the floor next to Ethan, who ran into his lap. "Daddy, is Em going away?" asked the boy. Nathan looked at Emily, surprised. "I didn't say anything to him," she explained. "But children sense these things. Em's not going away, son. She's just thinking about some things." Nathan tried to reassure Ethan, though he wasn't sure of his own words. That night, after Ethan fell asleep, Nathan and Emily had a frank conversation. "What's your real dream?" he asked. "I've always wanted to work in early childhood education, to help in the development of young children, to contribute to forming better people." "And don't you think you're already doing that?" "With Ethan, yes. But at a daycare I could help dozens of children." Nathan understood her dilemma. She was a person with a genuine calling to work with children, and limiting herself to caring for just one, no matter how special, might not be enough to fulfill her completely. "Emily, can I make you a different proposal?" She looked at him curiously. "How about if I fund your complete education in pedagogy, including specializations, and when you graduate, we open a daycare together? You would be the educational director, implement your methods, and still remain close to Ethan." Emily's eyes widened. "You would do that?" "I would. You've proven to be an exceptional educator, and I have the resources to invest in a serious educational project. But that would take years, and in the meantime you would continue caring for Ethan with flexible hours for your studies, and when the daycare is ready, Ethan would be one of the first students." Emily fell silent, absorbing the proposal. "Why would you do this for me?" "Because you gave me back my son, because you taught me how to be a father, and because I believe people like you deserve opportunities to fulfill their dreams. I need to think, of course, but know the offer is genuine." The next morning, Emily appeared with a decision made. "I accept your proposal," she said, smiling, "but on one condition." "What is it?" "I want you to get more involved in Ethan's education, not just in the fun moments, but in the decisions about his development, school activities. A father needs to be truly present. I accept the condition." And so began a new phase in the lives of the three of them. Nathan gradually reduced his workload, delegating more responsibilities to dedicate more time to his son. Emily began a specialization in child development, always scheduling her classes so they wouldn't interfere with caring for Ethan. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. Nathan's transformation as a father was gradual, but steady. He began to understand Ethan's tastes, his developmental phases, his fears and joys. Emily was a patient guide, always willing to explain aspects of child behavior. "Why has Ethan been throwing so many tantrums lately?" Nathan asked one day after a difficult afternoon. "It's normal at this age. He's learning to express frustrations but still doesn't have a developed emotional vocabulary," explained Emily. "The key is to maintain firm boundaries, but with patience and love." "How do you know all these things?" "I study a lot, and I observe Ethan every day. Every child is unique, but there are developmental patterns that help understand behaviors." Nathan was impressed by Emily's theoretical knowledge combined with her natural intuition with children. It was evident she was born for that profession. Months later, when Ethan turned 3, Nathan organized a birthday party for the first time since his wife had passed away. He invited neighbors, co-workers, and distant relatives. "Daddy, can I make a wish?" Ethan asked before blowing out the candles. "Of course, my son." Ethan squeezed his eyes shut and blew. Then he ran to Emily and whispered something in her ear that made her smile and become emotional. "What did he wish for?" Nathan asked curiously. "He said he wished for Em to never go away," she replied, her eyes welling up. That night, after everyone had left and Ethan slept exhausted but happy, Nathan found Emily in the kitchen washing dishes. "Leave that. I'll finish it tomorrow," he said. "It's no problem, I'm almost done." Nathan picked up a towel and began drying the plates, working beside her in comfortable silence. "Thank you for making this birthday special," he said after a while. Ethan was so happy. It was beautiful to see him playing with other children. "He's developing very well, and I know it's thanks to you. It's thanks to both of us. You've changed so much as a father since we met." Nathan stopped drying the dishes and looked at Emily. "Can I ask you a personal question?" "You may." "Do you ever think about having your own children?" Emily was silent for a moment, continuing to wash a pan. "I do, yes. But the right time hasn't come yet. And, in a way, I feel as if Ethan were my child too." "He feels that. Yesterday he asked me if you were his second mummy." "What did you say?" "I said you were someone very special who takes care of him with lots of love, and that some people come into our lives to stay forever." Emily smiled, but Nathan noticed a sadness in her eyes. "Is something wrong?" he asked. "No, everything's fine." "Emily, all these months, you've always been honest with me about Ethan and about education. You can be honest about your feelings too." She stopped washing the dishes and dried her hands, leaning against the sink. "Sometimes I'm afraid of getting too attached. Ethan isn't my son, and as much as I love him, one day he'll grow up and maybe won't need me anymore." "Emily, look at me." Nathan positioned himself in front of her. "You're not just Ethan's nanny. You're part of our family, and family doesn't abandon family. But what about when he goes to school, when he grows up? Then you'll be the director of our daycare, educating other children, and Ethan will have you as a lifelong reference. Are you sure about that?" "Absolutely. You gave my son back to me, Emily. You taught me how to truly love him. There's no value in the world that can repay that." That night, for the first time in years, Nathan felt part of a complete family again. It wasn't the same family he had lost, but it was a new configuration full of love and possibilities. The following months brought a happy and balanced routine. Nathan had completely reorganized his work schedule, always prioritizing time with Ethan. Emily continued her studies with excellent results, and Ethan flourished in an environment full of love and attention. One morning, Nathan woke up with Ethan standing by his bed. "Daddy, Em is crying," said the worried boy. Nathan Mitchell quickly got up and went to the living room, where he found Emily Parker sitting on the sofa with a letter in her hands, tears streaming down her face. "What happened?" he asked, sitting down beside her. "I got a letter from the university." She showed him the paper. "I won a full scholarship for a master's degree in early childhood education at a very good school." Nathan examined the letter, confused about why that would make her sad. "But that's wonderful. It's an incredible opportunity." "It is, but—" She paused, wiping her tears. "The master's is full-time. I'd have to stop taking care of Ethan during the day." Nathan understood the dilemma. Emily had always dreamed of academic training in the field, but this would mean a drastic change in the family routine. When would it start? Next semester? In 3 months? And how long would it last? 2 years. Nathan became thoughtful. 2 years without Emily taking care of Ethan daily seemed like an eternity. Is Em leaving? Ethan appeared at the door, his child's intuition picking up on the tension in the room. No, sweetheart. Em is just going to study more. Nathan picked up his son. Remember, we talked about Em becoming a very important teacher. Ethan nodded but kept a worried expression. Emily, you don't have to decide now. Let's think of a solution together, said Nathan. Over the following days, they discussed various possibilities. Nathan could hire another nanny for the period when Emily would be studying, but Ethan had already become so attached to her that any change would be traumatic. The solution came from an unexpected source. Barbara, the neighbor Emily had worked for before. Why not let Ethan spend the afternoons with me, she suggested during a visit. I love children, I have free time, and he already knows me from the times he played here with my granddaughter. Nathan was surprised by the offer. Mrs. Barbara, I don't want you to feel obligated. Not at all. It would be a pleasure. My granddaughter only comes on weekends, and the house is too quiet during the week. And I would be free to study in the afternoon, which are the most intensive hours of the master's program, added Emily, excited for the first time since receiving the letter. But I would pay for the help, of course, insisted Nathan. Don't even think about it, Barbara waved her hand. Ethan is like a little grandson to me, too. And so they found a solution that benefited everyone. Emily could do her master's. Ethan would have loving care in the afternoons, and Nathan would have peace of mind knowing his son was well cared for. On the first day of the new arrangement, Nathan took Ethan to Barbara's house after lunch. Daddy, when is Em coming back? Asked Ethan. She'll be back to have dinner with us tonight, and tomorrow morning she'll be at our house as always. Promise? I promise. Ethan seemed satisfied with the answer and ran off to play with the toys Barbara had prepared for him. Don't worry, Barbara said to Nathan. I raised 4 children and have helped with several grandchildren. Ethan will be in good hands. When Emily arrived home that night, she found Ethan having dinner with Nathan, the two talking animatedly about their day. How was it at Mrs. Barbara's house? She asked. Cool, she taught me how to make cookies. Ethan showed his hands still with bits of flour. That's great. And how was your first day at college? Nathan directed the question to Emily. Wonderful. The professors are excellent, and I can already see how everything I learned taking care of Ethan helps me better understand the theories we're studying. What kind of things are you learning? Today we discussed the importance of emotional bonds in children's cognitive development, how love and emotional security directly impact the ability to learn and relate. Nathan smiled. It sounds like you already knew that intuitively. I knew, but now I understand the science behind it. It's fascinating to discover that many things I do instinctively have solid theoretical foundations. In the following months, the new routine worked perfectly. Ethan adapted well to the days split between Emily in the morning and Barbara in the afternoon. Emily thrived in her studies, always bringing new knowledge that she applied in caring for Ethan. Look how interesting this is, she said one day, showing a book to Nathan. I'm learning about language development. Did you know that children who are exposed to more conversations develop a richer vocabulary? That makes sense. Ethan speaks very well for his age. It's because we've talked to him a lot since he was little. Many parents underestimate children's comprehension ability. I was one of those parents, admitted Nathan. Before you arrived, I barely spoke to him. But you changed, and Ethan notices that. Yesterday he told me his daddy is his best friend. The words touched Nathan deeply. The transformation in his relationship with Ethan had been gradual but real. One day Ethan came from Barbara's house with exciting news. Daddy, Grandma Barbara said I can help in her garden, he announced, using the affectionate nickname he had given the neighbor. That's great. What are you going to plant? Pretty flowers and tomatoes. And she said, when they grow, we can make salad. Nathan was moved seeing Ethan's enthusiasm. The boy was being exposed to rich and diverse experiences, growing up surrounded by people who genuinely loved him. Em, can I plant flowers at home too? Ethan asked Emily. Of course. How about we make a planter box on your bedroom balcony? Can I help too? Nathan offered. Daddy knows how to plant? Ethan asked, surprised. Actually, I don't know anything about plants, but I can learn with you. And so, the following weekend, the three of them went to a plant nursery to choose flowers and seeds for Ethan's gardening project. It was a simple outing, but Nathan couldn't remember having so much fun in years. This flower is pretty. Ethan pointed to a pot of colorful petunias. It is. And you know what's cool about flowers, said Emily, picking Ethan up. They need care every day to grow beautiful, just like people. How so? Asked Ethan, curious. Just like we water plants and give them sun, people need affection and attention to grow up happy and healthy. Nathan watched how Emily turned a simple activity into a life lesson, using language Ethan could understand. That afternoon, while planting the flowers on the balcony, Nathan reflected on how his life had changed since that day he forgot Ethan at home. The mistake that could have been a tragedy had turned into the blessing that brought Emily into their lives. "Daddy, are you happy?" asked Ethan, noticing his father's thoughtful expression. "Very happy, my son." "And you?" "Very, very happy." Ethan smiled, his hands dirty with soil. "Why?" "Because I have the best daddy and the best Em in the whole world." Nathan looked at Emily, who smiled emotionally and felt immense gratitude for everything she had provided for them. She wasn't just a nanny or a pedagogy student. She was the person who had rebuilt his family. Months later, Emily was at the end of the first year of her master's degree with excellent grades and praise from her professors. Ethan, now 4 years old, had developed tremendously, both cognitively and emotionally. "I have a surprise for you," Nathan announced one day at dinner. "What is it, Daddy?" Ethan asked excitedly. "I found the perfect lot for our daycare center." Emily almost choked on her food. "Really?" "Completely serious. It's in a quiet residential area, has space for a playground, spacious rooms, and it's in a neighborhood with lots of young families." "Can I see it?" "Of course." "How about we go there tomorrow, after you get back from college?" "And can I come too?" asked Ethan. "Of course. You'll be one of the first students, so your opinion is very important." The next day, the three visited the lot together. It was a spacious area, with trees and lots of potential to become a welcoming educational environment. "It's perfect," murmured Emily, walking through the lot and visualizing the possibilities. "There's space for a garden, playground, library, activity rooms." Nathan pointed to different areas. "Can I have a room just for myself?" asked Ethan. "You'll have a room with other friends your age," explained Emily. "It'll be a lot of fun. And will you be my teacher?" "I'll be the director. I'll make sure everyone has the best teachers and learns lots of cool things." Nathan watched their interaction and knew they were making the right decision. The daycare wouldn't just be an investment. It would be the realization of Emily's dreams and an educational legacy for Ethan and other children. "How long would it take to build?" asked Emily. "With all the plans and permits, probably 2 years, just when you finish your master's degree." It's like everything is falling perfectly into place. And it really seemed to be. The timeline was ideal. Emily would finish her advanced studies just when the daycare was ready to open. That night, after Ethan fell asleep, Nathan and Emily stayed in the living room planning details of the future school. "How do you imagine it will be?" he asked. "A school where children are truly happy, where they learn through play, explore nature, develop creativity, and most importantly, are loved and respected." "Sounds like the environment you created for Ethan." "Exactly. I want to multiply that for other families." Nathan was impressed by the passion in Emily's voice. It was clear this project meant much more than just a job to her. "What about the name? Have you thought about it?" "Actually, yes," Emily smiled shyly. "How about Sunflower School?" "Why sunflower?" "Because sunflowers always turn toward the sun. I want our school to always turn toward what is best in every child." Nathan smiled, moved by the symbolism. Sunflower School. Perfect. In the following months, while the architectural plans were being developed, Emily continued her studies and Nathan became increasingly involved in Ethan's education. The boy grew up surrounded by love, educational stimulation, and the prospect of a bright future. One day, Ethan came from Mrs. Barbara's house with a question that surprised Nathan. "Daddy, why don't I have a mommy?" The question caught Nathan off guard. Ethan had never asked about his mother before. "You did have a mommy, my son, but she's not with us anymore. She's in heaven." "Why did she go to heaven?" "Sometimes people get very sick and need to go to heaven, but she loved you very much." Ethan was thoughtful for a moment. "Could Em be my mommy?" Nathan felt his heart race. It was an innocent child's question, but it touched on complex issues. "Why do you want Em to be your mommy?" "Because she takes care of me, plays with me, and I love her a lot, like mommies do." "And do you think Em loves you too?" "I think so. She always says she loves me." That night, Nathan shared the conversation with Emily. "What did you say?" she asked. "I said you are a very special person in his life, and that there are different ways to love and care for someone." That was a good answer. But the question made me think, Ethan really doesn't have a present maternal figure. He has maternal love. From me, from Mrs. Barbara, even from the teacher at the little school he attends twice a week. It's not the same thing. Emily fell silent, nervously fidgeting with her fingers. "What are you thinking?" asked Nathan. "Ethan is like a son to me. I love him as if he were my own child. But I know I'm not his mother." "But you practically fulfill that role." "Yes, but always with the awareness that I'm the nanny, the caregiver. I would never take his mother's place." Nathan understood the delicacy of the situation. Emily had filled a maternal void in Ethan's life, but always maintaining respect for the memory of his late wife. "Would you like to be a real mother someday?" he asked. "Of course. It's a dream I've had since I was little." "And how do you imagine it would be?" "I imagine having a family where everyone loves and supports each other, where children grow up in a safe environment full of opportunities." Nathan realized Emily was describing exactly the environment they had already built together. "You know, Emily, these 2 years living with you have taught me many things. About fatherhood, about love, about family. It was a learning experience for me too. I want to ask you something, but you don't need to answer now." Emily looked at him curiously. Would you consider forming a real family with us?" The silence that followed seemed to last an eternity. Emily looked at Nathan with surprise, emotion, and a hint of confusion. "What exactly are you asking me?" "I'm asking if you would like to marry me. Not for convenience, not for Ethan, but because I've fallen in love with you." Emily brought her hand to her heart, clearly moved. "Nathan, I wasn't expecting this. I know it might seem strange. We started as employer and employee, but we've evolved into so much more than that. You're not just Ethan's caregiver. You're my companion, my partner, my best friend. And you think that's enough for a marriage?" "I think it's the foundation of a solid marriage. Love, respect, partnership, common goals." Emily stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the quiet street. "I need time to think." "Of course, there's no rush." "And Ethan? Have you talked to him about this?" "No. I wanted to talk to you first. It's a decision that affects his life too." "I know. That's why I want to be sure it's what we all want." Emily nodded and went to her room, leaving Nathan alone with his thoughts. The proposal had come out more spontaneously than he had planned, but it reflected feelings that had been growing for months. In the following days, there was a subtle tension in the air. Emily continued caring for Ethan with the same affection as always, but she was clearly processing Nathan's proposal. Ethan, with his childlike sensitivity, noticed something was different. "Em, are you sad?" he asked one day. "I'm not sad, sweetheart. I'm just thinking about some important things." "What kind of things?" "Grown-up things. But don't worry, everything's okay." A week later, Emily asked to talk with Nathan after Ethan fell asleep. "I thought a lot about your proposal," she began. Nathan felt his heart race. "And?" "It's scary to think about changing a dynamic that works so well." "I understand. But I also realized we've been living as a family for a long time. The only difference would be the official role." "So?" "I want to talk to Ethan first. If he's happy with the idea, then my answer is yes. Nathan smiled, feeling immense relief. Do you want to talk to him alone? I think it's better if we talk together, as a family. The next day, after Ethan returned from Mrs. Barbara's house, the three of them sat in the living room for a special conversation. Ethan, we want to talk to you about something very important, began Emily. What is it? Remember when you asked about having a mommy? Said Nathan. Ethan nodded. Well, Daddy asked me if I would like to be your real mommy. Ethan's eyes lit up. And you want to? I want to very much, but only if you want it too. I do want to, Ethan shouted, jumping on the sofa. Will you be my real mommy? I will, if you want me to. And will you get married like in the movies? Nathan and Emily laughed. Yes, my love. We are getting married, Nathan replied. Ethan ran to hug them both at the same time, beaming with happiness. Now I'm going to have a complete family, he said. That night, after Ethan finally managed to fall asleep from the excitement, Nathan and Emily stayed embraced on the couch, planning the future. I can't believe this is happening, Emily murmured. It really does feel like a dream. You know what's most amazing? It's that everything started with you forgetting Ethan at home. Nathan laughed. It was the best mistake of my life. And if you hadn't forgotten him, we probably never would have met. Ethan would still be cared for by nannies who didn't truly love him. I'd still be an absent father, and you'd be working at several houses to pay for college. Fate sometimes works in mysterious ways. Or maybe Ethan has a very efficient guardian angel, Nathan joked. Emily smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. How do you picture our wedding? Simple, surrounded by the people we love. Barbara, some of your colleagues from college, maybe some neighbors. And Ethan as the ring bearer. Obviously, he's going to love being the center of attention. When do you think we should get married? How about after you finish your master's degree? That way we can celebrate two important achievements at once. And the honeymoon? Nathan thought for a moment. A family trip. The three of us together. After all, we're not just getting married. We're formalizing a family that already exists. Emily was moved by his answer. You always know the right things to say. I'm learning. You've been a great teacher. In the following months, the wedding preparations blended with Emily's studies and the start of construction on the daycare center. Ethan actively participated in everything, giving his opinions on flowers, colors, and ceremony details. Daddy, can I carry the rings? He asked one day. Of course, son. You're going to be our official ring bearer. What does a ring bearer do? He carries the rings and looks very handsome for the pictures, Emily explained. I'm going to be the most handsome ring bearer in the world. Ethan's spontaneity and joy made all the preparations even more special. It was evident he was genuinely happy about the change that was coming. One afternoon, Barbara came to visit them and found the three of them organizing wedding details. I've never seen a happier family, she commented, observing the harmony between them. Thank you for everything you've done for us, Mrs. Barbara, said Emily. If it weren't for your help with Ethan, I wouldn't have been able to study. Oh, nonsense. Ethan brought joy to my life, too. And seeing you forming this beautiful family is the best reward. Will you keep helping us after we get married? Nathan asked. If you want me to, of course, I'll be Ethan's official grandma. I have two grandmas, Ethan celebrated. Grandma Barbara and the grandma in heaven. The child's innocence moved all the adults present. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. The wedding day finally arrived. The ceremony was simple, held in the garden of a small church, with their loved ones present. Ethan, impeccable in his little suit, carried the rings with the seriousness of someone with an important mission. Daddy and Em, are you married forever now? He asked during the reception. Forever, my love, replied Emily, now officially his stepmother, but whom he already called Mommy. And will I have little brothers? Nathan and Emily looked at each other, laughing. Maybe one day, said Nathan. What do you think? I want a little brother to play with me. The celebration was marked by simple yet emotional moments. Barbara cried during the vows. Emily's college friends congratulated the couple, and Ethan was the king of the dance floor, charming all the guests. When the party ended and Ethan finally fell asleep, exhausted but happy, Nathan and Emily sat on the porch of their home, now officially a complete home. "How do you feel, Mrs. Mitchell?" Nathan teased. "I'm still getting used to the new name," Emily laughed, "but I feel complete, as if I finally found my place in the world. Ethan is radiant. He is. And you know what else moves me?" "What?" "Thinking about all the children we're going to help at our daycare. How many families we can positively impact. You never stop thinking about others, do you? It's my nature, and now I have even more motivation, because I want to leave a better world for Ethan and for the children we might have in the future." Nathan held Emily's hand, admiring how she always managed to see the good side of everything and think about how she could help others. "I love you, Em. I love you too." The following months, as an official family, brought a sense of stability and happiness that Nathan hadn't experienced in years. Emily finished her master's degree with honors, the daycare took shape quickly, and Ethan flourished in an environment of love and security. "Mommy, when will our school be ready?" Ethan asked one day, watching the construction. "In a few months, my love, and it will be the most beautiful school in the city." "And will I study there?" "Yes, you will, and you will help other boys and girls learn new things. Like you teach me? Like I teach you." Ethan smiled, proud to be part of something so important. When the Sunflower School was finally ready, it exceeded all expectations. With colorful classrooms, an elaborate playground, an organic garden, and a cozy library, it was a space that radiated love and care. "It's more beautiful than I imagined," Emily murmured on opening day. "You deserve this and much more," said Nathan, hugging her. The school quickly gained a reputation in the city. Parents lined up to enroll their children, drawn by Emily's caring and effective methodology and her carefully selected team. Ethan, now 5 years old, was one of the most popular students. He proudly told his classmates that his mother was the school's director. "Mommy, can I tell you a secret?" he said one day after school. "Of course, my love. I'm the happiest boy in the world." "Why?" "Because I have the best daddy and the best mommy, I study at the best school, and I have lots of friends." Emily was moved by the simplicity and sincerity of Ethan's words. That night, she shared the conversation with Nathan. "You know what moves me most about all this?" she said. "What?" "Thinking that one day Ethan will grow up and maybe tell his children how our family was formed, how a mistake turned into the greatest blessing of our lives, and how a nanny became the most important person in a boy's and his father's life. No, Nathan, how 3 people who loved each other found a way to form a perfect family." Nathan smiled, kissing his wife's forehead. "You're right." As always. Years passed and the Mitchell family continued to grow and prosper. The Sunflower School became a benchmark in early childhood education. Emily completed a doctorate in education, and Ethan grew up surrounded by love, opportunities, and solid values. When Ethan turned 10, they organized a special party. During the celebration, he gave a speech that moved everyone present. "I want to thank Dad for forgetting me at home that day," he said, eliciting laughter from the audience, "because that's how Mum came into our lives, and that's how our family became complete." Nathan and Emily looked at each other, remembering the day that had changed everything. "And I want to thank Mom for hearing my cry and coming to help me, not just that day, but every day since then." Emily wiped away her tears, proud of the mature and sensitive boy Ethan had become. "And now I have a request for you," Ethan continued. "What is it, son?" asked Nathan. "I want you to have a baby. I want to be a big brother." The audience laughed, but Nathan and Emily exchanged a knowing look. It was a wish they had recently discussed. "Maybe one day, my love," replied Emily. "God willing." A few months later, Emily discovered she was pregnant. The news brought immense joy to the whole family. "Will it be a boy or a girl?" asked Ethan excitedly. "We don't know yet. What do you prefer?" "It doesn't matter. I just want them to be healthy and to call me bro." Emily's pregnancy was smooth and full of anticipation. Ethan actively participated in the preparations, choosing toys and helping decorate the baby's room. When Olivia Grace was born, she brought even more completeness to the family. Ethan proved to be a protective and affectionate big brother, always willing to help care for his little sister. "Daddy, now our family is truly complete," he said, watching Emily breastfeed Olivia Grace. "You think so?" "I'm sure. We have everything a family needs: love, care, and lots of happiness." Nathan looked at his family gathered in the living room and completely agreed with Ethan. The journey that had begun with a terrible mistake had transformed into the most beautiful story of love and redemption he could have imagined. Years later, when Ethan was a teenager and Olivia Grace a bright and cheerful child, the Mitchell family remained united and prosperous. The Sunflower School had expanded, now offering elementary education as well, and had become a national benchmark for humanized education. Emily, now recognized as one of the country's leading educators, never forgot her humble origins and always kept her feet on the ground. Nathan, who had learned to balance work and family, had become a present and dedicated father. Ethan, at 15, already showed interest in following in his parents' footsteps in the field of education. Olivia Grace, at 5, was a curious and affectionate girl who loved helping her mother at school. During a family dinner, Ethan shared a reflection that deeply touched everyone. "Do you know what the best part of our story is?" he asked. "What?" Nathan and Emily inquired at the same time. "It's that it started with Dad making a mistake, but it ended with all of us being happy. It proves that sometimes the ugliest mistakes can turn into the most beautiful blessings." "Such wisdom, my son," said Emily, moved. "I learned it from you. I learned that family isn't just who you're born with, but who chooses to stay together. I learned that true love is the kind that grows every day. And I learned that the best things in life sometimes come when you least expect them." Nathan felt his eyes fill with tears. The boy he had almost lost through negligence had become a wise and thoughtful young man, living proof of how love and care can transform lives. "And I learned that being a father isn't about being perfect, but about being present," said Nathan. "It's about admitting mistakes and working every day to be better. And I learned that family is about choosing to love, even when it's hard," Emily added. "It's about creating a home where everyone feels safe to be who they really are." Olivia Grace, who had been listening to the conversation without fully understanding but sensing the emotion of the moment, said in her childish voice, "I learned that our family is the yummiest in the world." Everyone laughed at the girl's spontaneity, but agreed that she had perfectly summed up their feelings. That night, after the children went to sleep, Nathan and Emily sat on the porch, as they often did, to talk about the day and future plans. "You know what amazes me most about our whole story," said Emily. "What?" "How every piece fit together perfectly. If you hadn't forgotten Ethan, if I didn't work at Barbara's house, if she hadn't heard his crying, if you hadn't offered the job, any one of those factors would have completely changed our story." "Exactly. It's as if everything was meant to happen." Nathan held Emily's hand, watching the stars in the clear sky. "Or maybe it's proof that when people have good hearts and are open to love, the universe conspires to make beautiful things happen." "Do you think Ethan remembers that day?" "I think he remembers feeling alone and then suddenly having someone caring for him with affection. But mainly, I think he remembers the feeling of security you brought into his life." "And you? How do you remember that day?" Nathan thought for a moment. "I remember the shame I felt, the fear of having lost my son. But mainly I remember the immense gratitude when I saw you caring for him with so much love. That was the moment I knew you were special. I also knew that meeting was going to change my life. I didn't know how, but I felt something important was beginning." And it was. They were silent for a few minutes, absorbed in their memories and reflections. "What do you think the future holds for our family?" asked Emily. "I think we'll keep growing together. Ethan will go to college, follow his dreams. Olivia Grace will develop and discover her talents. The school will continue to positively impact hundreds of children, and we'll grow old together, proud of everything we've built. It's a beautiful future. It's the future we deserve, because we worked for it, We cared for it, and most of all, because we built our family on solid foundations: love, respect, dedication, and honesty. The next morning, the family routine continued normally. Ethan was getting ready for school. Olivia Grace was humming over breakfast. Nathan was reviewing work documents, and Emily was organizing activities for the students at Sunflower School. It was an ordinary morning, yet filled with the love and harmony that had become the Mitchell family's trademark. And it had all started with a forgetfulness that could have been tragic, but which turned into the greatest blessing of their lives. During breakfast, Olivia Grace asked an innocent question that brought smiles to everyone's faces. "Mommy, have you always taken care of Ethan?" "No, sweetie. I started taking care of him when he was 2 years old, your age." "And was he as cute as me?" "He was very cute. And as smart as you." "And was Daddy always a good daddy?" Nathan almost choked on his coffee, remembering how negligent he had been at first. "Daddy learned to be a good daddy," Emily replied diplomatically. "Sometimes adults need to learn important things too. Like I'm learning to write my name. Exactly, everyone is always learning." Ethan, who was listening to the conversation while finishing his sandwich, added, "The difference is that when you learn out of love, you learn faster and better." Once again, the teenager's precocious wisdom impressed his parents. When everyone left for their daily activities, the house was temporarily empty, yet charged with positive energy and love. It was the reflection of a family that had found its balance and purpose. At Sunflower School, Emily constantly received praise from parents about their children's development. The methodology she had created, based on love, respect, and encouragement of creativity, was producing exceptional results. "Miss Emily, my daughter has never enjoyed studying so much," commented a mother during a meeting. "Our goal is to make children see learning as something enjoyable and natural," explained Emily. "When they feel loved and respected, they develop the confidence to explore and discover. How do you achieve that? By treating each child as unique and special, identifying their individual talents and creating opportunities for them to flourish. And most importantly, offering lots of love and patience." Conversations like this repeated frequently, confirming that the school had become much more than an educational institution. It was a place where families found support and children discovered their potential. In the afternoon, when Ethan returned from school, he would always stop by the Sunflower School to pick up Olivia Grace and chat with Emily about the day. "How was school today?" she would ask. "Good. I had a history presentation and talked about our family." "And what did you tell them?" "I told them how you met, how our family was formed, and how that taught me that the best things in life come from where you least expect them." "And what did your classmates think?" "They were impressed. Some said our story sounds like a movie." "It really does, doesn't it?" "It does. But it's better than a movie because it's real, and it's ours." This simple conversation perfectly summarized the entire family's feeling about their journey. It was an extraordinary story, but genuine and built day by day with lots of love and dedication. When Nathan arrived home at the end of the day, he always found a welcoming scene: Ethan doing homework, Olivia Grace playing, Emily preparing dinner, and an atmosphere of family harmony that contrasted completely with the empty, silent house of years past. "How was your day?" he would ask, hugging Emily in the kitchen. "Productive and happy, and yours?" "The same. But the best part is always coming home and finding you all." "Daddy, can I help you with anything?" offered Ethan. "You can help me play with your sister while Mommy finishes dinner." And so the small daily rituals repeated, creating a routine based on mutual care and everyone's participation in family chores. During dinner, each person shared the most interesting moments of their day. It was a time of genuine connection, where everyone was truly interested in each other's experiences. "Olivia, what did you learn in school today?" asked Nathan. "I learned that plants need water, sun, and love to grow." "And where did you learn about plants needing love?" "Miss Rachel said that when we care for plants with affection, they grow more beautiful." "She's right, it's the same with people," added Emily. These simple yet meaningful conversations were the kind of interaction Nathan had completely lost before Emily entered his life. Now every meal was an opportunity to strengthen family bonds. "Ethan, what about you? What was the best moment of your day?" asked Emily. "When I helped a new classmate who was struggling with math. I remembered how you teach me that we should always help others." "How proud!" exclaimed Nathan. "You're becoming a young man with such beautiful values." "I learned from you that we're only truly happy when we help other people be happy too." Once again, Ethan's words demonstrated how loving education and good examples had shaped his character. After dinner, it was time for family activities. Nathan helped Ethan with any harder homework, Emily played with Olivia Grace, and then everyone gathered in the living room for time together. "Shall we read a story tonight?" suggested Emily. "I want Daddy to tell a made-up story," requested Olivia Grace. "And what story do you want to hear?" "The story of how you met Mommy." Nathan smiled because he knew this was his daughter's favorite story, even though she had heard it dozens of times. "Once upon a time there was a daddy who worked so much he forgot his son at home," he would begin, adapting the narrative for a child's understanding. "And then Mommy arrived," Olivia Grace would excitedly complete. "That's right. A very kind lady arrived who heard the baby crying and came to help. And she took care of him with lots of love. And she taught the daddy to be a better father. And then they got married and became a happy family." "Exactly. And then you came along to make our family even more complete." Olivia Grace would always end the story by clapping and asking to hear it again. It was a playful way to keep the memory of the family's origins alive and to reinforce the values of love and care that united them. Ethan, even though he was already a teenager, also liked to join these story sessions. Sometimes he would contribute details he remembered. Other times, he would just tenderly observe the interaction between his parents and Olivia Grace. "Bro, tell me what it was like when you were little," Olivia Grace would ask. "I was very mischievous, and I cried a lot when I was alone," he would reply. "But then Mommy arrived." "Yes, and since then, I've never truly been alone again." "And were you happy?" "Very happy. Mommy taught me many cool things and brought joy to our home." "And was Daddy happy too?" "Daddy was very happy, so much so that he married Mommy so she would never leave." These simple conversations, filled with affection, were fundamental to keeping the family united and for the children to grow up with a solid understanding of love, family, and human values. When bedtime came, each child had their own ritual. Olivia Grace liked Emily to sing a lullaby, the same one she had sung for Ethan when he was little. Ethan, more independent now, liked to talk for a few minutes with Nathan about various topics before falling asleep. "Dad, can I ask you a question?" Ethan said one night. "Of course, son." "Do you think I'll be a good father when I grow up?" "Why are you thinking about that?" "Because I want to be like you. Take good care of my kids and give them lots of love." Nathan was moved by the answer. "Ethan, you already show amazing qualities. You're caring, responsible, and you care about other people. I'm sure you'll be a wonderful father." "And what if I make mistakes?" "All parents make mistakes. The important thing is to recognize them, learn, and always try to do better. Like you did? Like I did. And like Mommy taught me to do. I love you guys." "We love you too, son. More than you can imagine." These nighttime conversations were precious to Nathan, who had missed so many moments like these in his early years of fatherhood. Now, he cherished every opportunity to strengthen his relationship with his children. After the children fell asleep, Nathan and Emily had their time alone. It was when they talked about future plans, daily challenges, and took the chance to keep alive the romantic connection that had given rise to their family. "How do you feel being a mother of two?" Nathan asked one night. "Completely fulfilled. Ethan taught me how to be a mother, and Olivia Grace lets me relive that experience with all the confidence and knowledge I've gained." "And being the school principal?" "It's the fulfillment of a professional dream. Being able to positively impact so many children and families gives me a sense of purpose I never thought possible." "You've managed to balance everything perfectly." "With your help." "Alone it would be impossible. We're a good team. The best team I could ever imagine." These intimate conversations constantly strengthened the couple's relationship, ensuring that romantic love continued to flourish amidst family and professional responsibilities. End of the story. Now tell me what you thought of this story and where you are watching us from. If you have something to share with us, leave it in the comments with sincere words. Do you believe Nathan made the right decisions? We would love to read your opinion. Thank you so much for your company. Don't forget to leave your like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other exciting stories.